Hello, I am Choco, and sorry for taking so long to upload, but welcome back to yet another One Piece video. Last time, I made a poll and Supernovas redesigns were the most popular option. So this is what we will be doing today. So I have 9 characters redesigns for you today. 9 because Luffy and Zoro aren't included, since they were already in my Straw Hats video. So if you're interested, go watch that one. And before jumping into today's art, if you like what you see here, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean a lot. Now, let's get right into it, shall we? Okay, let's go over Lo first. I know you want to see him, especially since I may have tricked you with him last video. But he's here for real this time. Oh my god, I struggle so much with him. Even choosing what outfit to redesign was hard. He's probably the only non-Straw Hat who gets this many outfits. I decided on whichever outfit I picture when I think of Lo. For me, it's his Dressrosa outfit. I know a lot of people draw him in his Onigashima one, but for plot purposes, Dressrosa is more significant. Changing it was hard too. I think Lo's progression of outfit is really well done to show his character development. The first two are completely covered up, with the only tattoos visible on his hands and lower arms. In Punk Hazard, his big coat is obviously to protect him from the cold, but at the same time it does a good job showing how he's at his most closed off here, revealing practically nothing of himself. Then the sweater he wears on the Sunny still doesn't show much, but we do get a hint toward Corazon with the dark feathers around his neck. And then we get to Dressrosa, this time with these full chest tattoos, which are so important to his character. The big heart obviously for Corazon, but now even his Jolly Roger has more meaning. It's similar to the flamingos to mock him, but keeping the big smile as a note to Corazon. Even his hand tattoos, Death isn't just because he's edgy or for the Surgeon of Death, but because Death has been following him ever since he was a kid. And obviously the back of his coat, which literally spells Corazon, to show how devoted he is to avenge him. It's the perfect outfit to depict how he spent his entire life living for Corazon since his death. And after that, all his following outfits have a small part of his chest tattoos showing, and some smaller nod to Corazon. The heart during Zou and feather color during Onigashima. But he is truly free now, and doesn't need to be spending his every moment solely for Corazon. He can live for himself. Okay, I might have yapped a bit too much about Lo. I'll quickly go over his redesign now. So first I like to give him a form of vitiligo. You know, keeping the spots from the white lead disease. But a bit more faded. It makes him stand out more from the other characters. I make his bangs slightly longer so they stick out from his hat. It gives him an emo haircut. I think it's cute. One part I wasn't sure of, but I always love seeing on other Lo designs, are the fluffy leg warmers that go with his hat. I was scared it'd be a bit too much, but I don't know, I like it. They also have little belts on them, with the heart buckles. Because I put the spots on his leg warmers, I thought keeping them on the pants would be a bit much, so I removed them. I know it feels a bit weird since no matter the outfit, he always has those pants. But instead, I gave him ripped jeans with heart-shaped holes and a belt with a heart buckle. So I hope that's okay with you. For his coat, I wanted it to have a ton of sewn-in patches, so it would look like a coat he wears all the time, and has got it completely destroyed, but he keeps sewing it back up, because it means a lot to him, being a tribute to Corazon. I changed the yellow band he has on his left arm to a heart-shaped patch. And the cords from his hood also end in little hearts. Oh, and I made his hood fluffy to match with his hat and shoes. The back of his coat would stay the same. It would still have the same logo with Corazon written on it, of course. I included this sword as well, because I like to draw the red rope that's tied around it, with hearts at the end, so it looked like Corazon's hat. Oh, and one last thing. Do you guys remember how my Doflamingo had one earrings missing? Looks like Lo is the one who has it. Now on to Bonney, our one and only girl of the Supernovas. I messed around a lot with what I wanted for her. At first I wanted to give her a Y2K aesthetic, but that doesn't really suit her, so I searched a bit more for what style she would have, but really, she doesn't need a specific style. I think sometimes I get stuck on what specific style I should give to which characters, but even though specific aesthetic can be really fun and really fit some characters, it shouldn't be like a roadblock when you're figuring out a character's style. Have fun with it, throw random clothes at them and see what sticks. For Bonney, I really kept in mind her power, needing clothes that can fit her at an adult size, as well as a kid size. So her jacket, though it is a bit oversized just because I like the silhouette it gives, her jacket is cropped and her sleeves cut off at the elbows, so it can still be worn when she's much shorter. Her shirt is a bit too short and isn't completely buttoned up, that way she can button it up, and it should still be comfortable as a kid. Her shorts have a big belt and strings on the side, so it can be tighter and still be holding up when she switches. The leg warmers and gloves also have little belts to adjust. The shoes don't make much sense, they would be way too big to walk in as a kid, but I don't think there's any way to give her shoes that would be practical for her powers, unless I'm missing something. Maybe slippers, I don't know. But yeah, I wanted to give her clothes that a kid would pick themselves, stuff that's a bit all over the place and that they think would look cool. In the end, I do think it looks good, but maybe it's just me having childish tastes. Also, when I was making her concepts, I put as many notes and references to a certain character really close to her. Sorry, I'm being very vague, because I watch One Piece with my family, and as I'm writing this, we're in the middle of Wano, so I don't want to spoil my parents who are watching this. Hello! I don't want to spoil them about some specific things. But if you know, you know. So yeah, I tried to sprinkle some little accessories, stuff relating to that, everywhere I could. I think it's real cute. That's kinda it for her. I don't know much else about her character-wise, since I haven't gotten to Egghead yet. Though I'm getting close, but I still have a lot of fun with her. She was one of my favorite to redesign for this video, and I can't wait to see more of her. For some reasons, I struggled the most with Hawkins. From his concept to his final art, I kept having problems designing him. I really like his original design, so maybe that's why. I also kept thinking of my femme design of Hawkins I really liked. I was kind of stuck on the long skirt I gave her, which you'll see I managed to incorporate in his final concept. At first I was going to give him a cape, just like he has post time skip, but I wasn't too into it. I gave him some of those flared pants that I think looks really good, but it still wasn't what I had in mind for him. I tried a capelet, but then the rest of his outfit felt too bland. I knew I needed something for him that would go down to his ankles, but I wasn't satisfied with the cape. I kept going back in my mind to those long skirts, but I couldn't just give him a skirt, right? So I cheated, and managed to get the exact same silhouette I would get with a skirt. So now he has a half open skirt. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think still give him a pirate look, with a more feminine flair. The only thing I'm not confident on is the top of his outfit. With just a white shirt, I'm worried it looks a bit bland, but I think the hair going in front and the flared open shirt counters that. Since I opened his shirt, I put his cross brooch thing on his hip to hold the half skirt. I also changed his weird shoulder pad thing he always wear. I looked up if it's supposed to mean something to his character or maybe culturally, but I didn't find anything. If it does have a specific meaning you know about, please tell me in the comments. So I kept the crystal ball looking thing on his shoulder, but changed the rest so it looks more like some sort of armor. Honestly, I also changed that because I found the original annoying to draw. I gave him fingerless gloves as well. I have no real reason for that though. I just like giving characters fingerless gloves. Anyway, as a whole, I really like Hawkins. I already talked about liking his design. He has kind of an off-putting look, but still looking really elegant. His clothes also managed to not stray too far from the pirate look, while still being clearly his own. I think it's really cool. His power is really unique and interesting as well. I do wish Hawkins had more screen time. I think both his character and his devil fruit power could have a lot of development. Being on the villain's side during Onigashima simply for survival reason, and himself being more on neutral ground, is really interesting. Hawkins is honestly a coward, and not saying this as a diss. If you think of cowardly character, usually it's more of a Usopp type, utterly scared a lot of time, relying on other people when it's possible, and often being more of a comic relief. Saying this with all the love for Usopp as well, is one of my favorite Straw Hats. But Hawkins relies on others for his power, protecting himself, transferring the damage it takes to his crewmates or underlings, and siding with whoever he thinks is the strongest and will give him protection. But he does all this while staying serious, calm and even mysterious, which makes him a really unique character. Hawkins fans, I totally get you. I think it's really cool. Okay, I have to be honest. I was not excited to work on Apoo since I kinda hate his guts, and I know many people would agree. A shout out to the few Apoo fans, though bless your heart. But yeah, when we were watching the anime, me and my little brother let out an exasperated sigh every time he's on screen. My favorite moment like that was when we were watching Stampede, and every supernovas were showing up one by one, and we were like, Kitten Killer, yay! Oh, Bonney! Hawkins! Apoo. Oh, Bege! We're true haters. But for some reason, I actually had a lot of fun designing him. It was very easy for me. Maybe it's because I don't like his design either, but I think it has so many good ideas. Plus, Apoo can be very funny at times. Using his teeth as an actual piano, or his head as a cymbal does make me laugh. Maybe I just have the worst sense of humor. But yeah, the whole music theme has a lot of potential. Anyway, I took inspiration from his pre-time skip and post-time skip designs, as well as traditional Chinese clothing, since it's clearly what his outfits are based on. I kept the flower patterns he has. I'm not sure why he has flowers, but it does look nice. So I put one on his chest, one on each of his pants legs, and I made the end of his sleeves look like flowers petals. I also kept the sort of wave pattern he has on the bottom of his pants. One change that's really goofy, but I also really like are the glasses. I just really wanted to change the yellow tinted glasses he wears to those rave glasses. I like his face way better and I'm not sure why. I hope you do too. Oh yeah, his hair as well. I just liked Oda's femme version of Apoo so much, I wanted to include a bit of her, so I kept the bangs. I think it's more appealing this way, at least to me. Other than that, I added those pieces of cloth that go down from the belt. I don't know what they're called, I'm so bad at explaining, sorry. But anyway, I tried to make it look like guitar strings. I thought it was clever. And also, I changed his shoulder pads to vaguely look like speakers. As a whole, I'm pretty happy with him. I really like the colors as well, even though they're just his original colors but rearranged a bit. I don't have much else to say about him. So if you're a fan of him, please tell me why in the comments. I feel like the reason would be he's silly, but I'm curious what else there could be. You know what, in general, just tell me your favorite supernova is and why. I'd love to know. Mine will probably be Killer at the moment. Drake's kind of a weird one for me. I don't have anything against him, but I'm not very interested in his character either. Though I totally understand why as fans. It definitely has interesting stuff going on, not going into specifics. I can spoil my bestie who doesn't know much about Wano. As I'm writing this, he's at Dressrosa, which means he gets to see Cavendish. Pfft, lucky guy. But yeah, anyway, Drake is cool, but just not the character for me. Maybe it's because he's a Zoan. I'm a Zoan looking pretty stupid, sorry, but the dinosaurs one in particular are very goofy looking. Quickly interrupting to tell you that my commissions are open, so if you've ever been interested in getting custom art from me, the link to my commission form is in the description. Okay, back to the redesigns now. Anyway, moving on to his design. I used to think I didn't really like his design either, but actually his clothes are so cool, I don't know how I didn't notice this sooner. I think my problem comes from his weird mask and maybe his hair, but I kept his haircut looking the same anyway. I think it's supposed to look like a dinosaur's crest or something. So yeah, the first thing I wanted to change was his mask. He has a weird mix of a domino mask from like superhero suits, mixed with a bandana, kind of. I decided to change it to a simple bandana covering one eye. Personally, I like it way better this way. I considered giving him glasses, but it looked like such a nerd. Maybe worse than when he's not fighting. I still think they kinda suit him. For his outfit, I was way too fixated on the X in his name, and wanted to give him a Kingdom Hearts looking fit. If you don't know, there's a villain organization in Kingdom Hearts, where they all have an X in their name. But for wanting to give him a Kingdom Hearts outfits, I realized he already has a bunch of belts, and zipper would definitely be way too much. So I still gave him a couple more belts. 2 more at his hips to form an X, and also I changed his tattoo on his chest to an X-shaped harness. Listen, it was a last minute decision. I just wanted to make one last change. I also changed his gloves. In his original design, it looks like his sleeves just turn into gloves, which does look cool honestly, but I wanted to give his gloves the same look that his boots have. Oh, and I also added belts at his wrists. Oh, and I also changed the cover on his weapons to that same sort of pattern. I slightly changed the fluff around his collar to be spiky, so it vaguely looks like dinosaur teeth. At first I was gonna make the spikes more obvious, but I thought it looked a bit weird. Other than that, I didn't change much else. His redesign was much more about changing details, so as a whole it doesn't change that much, really. But I'm still happy with what I ended up with. Oh, and I also had fun shading the leather part of his outfit. I kinda just copied or some official art of him does it, but it was fun and it looks good. Urouge was definitely a challenge in the sense that we don't know shit about this guy. I'm sure Oda has something planned eventually for him, but right now every single supernova has at their moment, except for Urouge who gets nothing. I thought maybe it'd be an Elbath, but right now it doesn't look like it. If he does end up in the arc by the time this video comes out, please don't tell me. So yeah, since we don't have much info on him, I had to rely mostly on aesthetics and theming for him. So religious theme with the whole monk thing, and stuff from the Sky Islands, since it's his place of origin. I changed his red pearl necklace to a belt, since it would interfere too much with what I changed around his torso. Also having the red beads break up the outfit nicely this way. I cut the black top part of his robe to show part of his chest, that way it gives the asymmetry of his cape. I also added little dangly bits with the red pearls through his cape, so we can have more of those beads in his outfit. Talking about his cape, I changed the color and added a pattern at the bottom, so it would mimic Enel spans, to add more knots to Sky Islands. I also gave him similar ankle bracelets to Enel, as well as bracelets on his wrists, though you can't see them since neither of his ends ended up being visible in this pose. He also has little gold beads on the bottom of his robe, but I don't know where I pulled that from. I just thought it looked nice. I changed his wings slightly as well, but that's mostly my usual way of stylizing wings. Honestly, I thought I'd struggle more coming up with a design for him, since we know so little, but I think not being stuck on his personality or on backstory stuff made it a bit easier. His outfit was actually pretty easy to figure out, and I was done with him pretty fast. Other than that, I don't have much else to say about him. I guess I can talk a bit about what my next video will be then. So like I mentioned, this video took so long to put out, which I am again really sorry about, but the next one should be way faster to make. I talked about it briefly on a community post, but I want to make a sketchbook tour. And since all the art for that is already done, obviously, I'll just have to film and edit it, so it shouldn't take too long. I have to say I am a tiny bit worried, because most sketchbook tour have those really pretty spreads and finished color illustrations, and all around, very pretty sketchbook, but mine just has pencil sketches. I really take the sketch in sketchbook literally, so I hope that won't be disappointing for you. But you'll get to see a whole bunch of One Piece fan art I never posted anywhere. Half of my last one is just One Piece sketches. On to Bege. He's definitely not one of the most popular characters, which is a shame because he's genuinely great. We go in depth with this character during Whole Cake Island, and I feel like he very quickly goes from being pretty uninteresting in Sabondi to honestly detestable during Zou and early Whole Cake, and then very likable later on, when we get to see how devoted he is to his wife and family. I saw some posts that said that Bege should be revered as like the perfect masculine guy example of One Piece instead of Senior Pink, which I totally agree. He has much more of those genuine qualities that people claim Senior Pink as. But at first I really struggled coming up with ideas for him. He has a very clear and classic mafia aesthetic that I couldn't really change without stepping on Crocodile's toes. Plus I feel like with Crocodile you can play around a bit more with his fashion, but with Bege he feels more traditional, so I couldn't experiment too much, or at least I didn't let myself do too much with him. So like with Drake, most of his redesign consists of detailing. When looking up references, I really liked the oversized suits I saw, so I decided to give him one, with it being especially visible on the pants. I also added buttons to his suit, as well as a gold chain, and a square tissue that goes in the costume pocket, but I think it's actually to wipe Pez's mouth when he gets himself dirty. I also added some detailing to his shoes to make them stand out a bit more from his suit. His cape only goes over one shoulder. I think it gives him a nice silhouette. I also added an armor shoulder pad. With his whole castle devil fruit power, I wanted to give him some sort of knight item, or anything medieval really. Other than that, he stays pretty much the same. Kid time! I used to not pay Kid much mind honestly, I just kinda liked him on principle. But ever since Wano, oh my god, I love him and Kid so much, they're so cool. And they care about each other so much, dude, oh, I love them. I'll talk more about Killer later though. And Kid also has such a fun dynamic with Luffy and Law. I love that Law somehow becomes as big as a dumbass they are when he's with them. And for some reason, Luffy always tries to boss Kid around, which obviously pisses him off. They are so funny together, it's a blast when they're on screen together. And design-wise, I also think Kid is awesome. I love his big coat and his hair and his goggles and his big scarves and his stupid double belt, and I love that he's punk. Also, as a side note, when I was watching One Piece early on and knew very little about non-main characters, I used to mistake Kid for Bartolomeo. So when we first see him in Sabaody, I thought, oh, is that the guy who's a Luffy fan? Which was the only thing I knew about Barto. I also mistook Hawkins for Cavendish the first time I saw him, thinking he was the Pretty Prince pirate. Little did I know those two dumbasses would become my favorites. Okay, anyway, let's talk about the redesign. I struggled so much with Kid, he was the last one to get his final concept, since I just couldn't figure anything out for him. And it's definitely because I already love him and his design so much that I didn't really want to change it, so I forced myself to come up with something. So in the end, I didn't change his coat because it's way too good. Just like the Flamingo and Corazon, it is peak design. But I added back the shoulder spikes he had pre-time skip. I changed his hair to be slightly longer and with a shaved side part. And of course, my favorite detail is he now has a bunch of piercings that just make sense for a punk guy. I also added a golden tooth, just because. Oh, and I also draw him with freckles. I think it's cute, plus it's a must for any red hair character I draw. I changed the shirt to an open crop jacket with bobby pins on the front. I don't know why it was impossible for me to come up with a different shirt. His original one is pretty simple, but I think it looks so great on him for some reason. The belts and fingerless gloves were very easy decisions though. And I believe that Kid should always wear fingerless gloves and never regular gloves, so we can still see his nail polish. It's very important. I struggled with the pants as well. In the end I ended up looking as a mix of parachute pants, streetwear and work pants. They're all things that suit him, I feel like, but I don't know, I'm not that satisfied with the end results. Once again though, I knew I had to give him big chunky leather boots, platform heels and spikes. And I definitely could have gone way harder on the spikes, but I do like those. In general, I'm not that thrilled with his final design, to be honest. I think there's a lot that could be tweaked. His original design is just so good, I don't know how to improve on it. Also, it would be hell to animate with all his tiny little details and accessories. His devil fruit power already makes the animators draw a ton of tiny moving objects, but at least they're almost always in 3D. This design would absolutely not fly. Ending strong with Killer, my guy! I love him so much, I would literally perk up every time he showed up during Wano. Maybe I'm required to become obsessed with the blonde guy every arc? I have Cavendish obviously, Pedro during Whole Cake, and now Killer in Wano. But Killer's whole plotline during Wano is so sad, man. All he's trying to do is keep Kid safe, and that poor guy cannot catch a break, it's awful. Also, he seemingly has an inner rule of, if the opportunity comes, I must sacrifice myself for Kid. He does not hesitate to put himself in the most awful situations possible if it means Kid is safe, it's crazy. Also there's this scene. Yeah, I like them a lot. Okay, now I need to talk about his design changes after the time skip. Killer used to have the coolest cowboy pants and his silly polka dot black shirt, with the popped collar I must add. And after the time skip it just wears a basic ass t-shirt and jeans combo. I mean, it's not a bad design, simply with his mask and long hair it always looks cool. But come on, it's so basic. At least let him have some cool pants. Oh, and talking about his hair, they shortened it post-time skip. Obviously he still has pretty long hair, but it used to be longer pre-time skip. So of course for my redesign, I had to give him his drip back, which meant bringing back the cowboy aesthetic. I don't know what Oda at post-time skip and removing all the cool cowboy clothes of his characters, but it's a crime, I tell you. Oda, bring back Robin's hat and Killer pants, and my life will be yours. Oh, and if you can bring Cavendish back for an arc or two, that would be cool, thanks. I actually struggled as well for Killer, but it was definitely just me overthinking things. Once I decided I should just stick to his old pants and a regular cowboy shirt, I was locked in. I added spikes as well to his weapon thingies on his hands, so I can add a bit of punk with the cowboy look. His blades look kinda weird on the final illustration though, sorry. I feel like my brain has a hard time comprehending Killer's weapons, even though I know they're just rotating blades. But other than that, I kept the blue sash he got post-time skip. It was the one part of his outfit I liked. I made his hair longer, even longer than it was pre-time skip honestly, and some simple cowboy shoes. I thought about adding the little metal star at the back of those cowboy boots, but I decided against. After doing Kid's complicated ass design, I wanted to keep things a bit simpler. Oh, and also the scars on his left arm are still there, of course. Though I've been wondering what they are exactly. They sort of look like burn scars, but when did he get them? I read some fanfics where he got them at the same time Kid lost his arm, but I'm pretty sure those are fun speculations. So, if you guys have any idea where Killer got those scars, and what they even are exactly, I'd love to hear it. But that's now every supernova done. I hope you liked this video and my redesigns. As usual, I love to hear what you thought of them. You guys' comments genuinely mean the world to me. Even if I don't respond to you, please know that I read and appreciate every single comment. And like I mentioned, even though this one took so long to put out, I assure you the next one should come out way faster. And I hope you'll still like it, even if it will be different than my usual content. To be honest, I have been feeling pretty art blocked recently, which is one of the reasons I took a while to finish the art for today. But it's important to push through anyway. Getting art block means improvement is real close, so don't give up. And I'm still pleased with the end result of today's art. So it's all good. I just have to get out of this funk and eventually make even better art. Also, I feel like I yapped a lot during this video, at least much more than usual. So I hope you like the slightly longer format. The more of this video I make, the more comfortable I get talking to you guys. I just hope I don't get too annoying. But anyway, it's time to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye bye!